welcome to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. Okay, guys, let's talk Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Okay, this is obviously the follow-up to Jurassic World, which, in my opinion, was nothing more than a carbon copy of the original Jurassic Park. But for nostalgia reasons, I totally understand it. They got people back on board and very excited about the Jurassic Park series once again. This one falls into what I feared was going to happen. There are only two types of Jurassic Park stories. There is, hey, we opened a park, we just brought back dinosaurs, let's bring people to the park. Holy shit, everything goes left, dinosaurs get out and kill everyone, and then you're fighting to survive. The second Jurassic Park story is, let's take the dinosaurs, let's bring them to the mainland. Oh my god, shit goes left, dinosaurs get out, they kill everybody, run for your lives. That's it. Same two stories every goddamn time. This movie is no exception. It is the latter of those two stories. Obviously, Jurassic World was the former. What happens in this film is Bryce Dallas Howard is recruited to come back since she worked at the park originally. She's recruited to come and help with this rescue mission alongside Chris Pratt's character, Owen, to save these dinosaurs because there's a volcano on the island that's erupting and the dinosaurs are basically going to go extinct again through Mother Nature. But for some bizarro reason, this group that Bryce Dallas Howard is a part of, this like pro dinosaur, help the dinosaurs group, they're kind of like PETA in a lot of ways. Like, they're well-intentioned but really fucking annoying and don't make any sense in their logic. Ultimately, she's recruited to go help these dinosaurs and rescue them and put them on this other island, this other sanctuary. And so she ropes Chris Pratt's character back in, and he's like, "All right, fine, I'll come back and help you." And then through a series of events, it turns out there's a bad guy, and he's a little bit more nefarious in his in why he wants to actually go to the island. Won't give that away. It's a major part of the story. That being said, once they get to the island, and like you saw in the trailer, there's the volcano is erupting, and there's dinosaurs running away, and there's explosions and all this other stuff. It is very par for the course of exactly what you think this movie is going to be. They eventually get off the island with some of the dinosaurs, and we are running into the same story again, which is the dinosaurs get out, they wreak havoc. Oh my god, they're killing people. We've got to get out of here. How many times are we going to do this? It's a really boring story when we've seen it. Arguably, this will be the second, arguably third time we've seen this type of story from this franchise. I even, a number of months ago, I wrote on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at Those Nerds. I literally wrote on Twitter that my biggest fear about this movie, that it was going to fall into the same recycled story. And Colin Trevorrow, who is the writer of this one, who directed Jurassic World, he even responded, which was kind of crazy, and said, challenge accepted. It's not going to be that. It's going to be something different. Yeah, spoiler alert, dude. It's not different. It's the same boring-ass story over and over again. It's not interesting. It's poorly shot. I'm tired of seeing Chris Pratt stare off into the distance and do this. At a volcano, at a dinosaur, as a dinosaur on a volcano, as dinosaurs fighting. It's the same boring fucking story. The franchise is dead. There are two stories. There is nothing else to tell about this franchise. Let it go. Let it die. The thing that they come up with in the end, they think is this super interesting, wow, we're going to go in a whole different direction. No, they're not. No, they're not. The ending makes no sense. All of the motivations for the characters makes little to no sense. They do things that are wildly contradictory to what any logical person can do. And look, that's fine in movies. You throw away, you suspend disbelief and things like that. I don't mean like dinosaurs are walking around, suspend disbelief. I mean, there's no logic to, hey, why don't we go in there and do this one thing? That doesn't make any sense. There are much safer ways to do things, and they just run headfirst into trauma and disaster. It makes no sense just for the sake of story. There are massive continuity shooting issues. This is directed by J.A. Bayona. there are a number of times where it's like we're running down a hallway and we're right up next to a door, and then they'll cut to another scene and then cut back, and then that person is halfway down the hallway and they still have to run further. Like basic film editing mistakes. Like and I noticed there's probably 5 or 6 of those like glaring moments that were really irritating to watch. The action sequences are predictable. The story is incredibly predictable because, again, there are 2 types of Jurassic Park movies. None of them are different. You knew exactly one of the big reveals. The person, Micah, who's on the show often, he predicted a major plot point in this movie literally 15 minutes into it. It was super obvious. There was no big reveal. And then when they revealed it, it's completely undercut immediately. The villains are largely just not that interesting. I think, if I'm being honest, I think Chris Pratt is phoning it in. He's a far better actor than this. Bryce Dallas Howard is a far better actress than this. They're both just phoning it in. The green screen looks great because it's Jurassic Park, but their interaction with the green screen is really bad. I mean, there's a scene with Chris Pratt running down a hill with a volcano erupting and dinosaurs falling around him and, almost smashing into him and everything else. And he's just like, it's just like a light jog. There's no level of urgency or anything. And that I blame on directing. Like it's a weird interaction between the two. I'm like, why does he seem so casual in this life-threatening situation? Speaking of that, Chris Pratt has more superpowers than he does in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, apparently he can hold his breath for, I don't know, forever. Bryce Dallas Howard has some of the worst written lines. I was really super disappointed. Just pathetic. Like, the writing is pathetic. There are literal characters that show up that are there solely to have one line, and you're like, wow, yeah, you really super nailed it. Like, it's just lazy. And I don't know. I am so sick of this franchise. I'm sure the way they end it, there's going to be a Jurassic World, more to come. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I'm done with this franchise. I was done with this franchise after Lost World. I gave Jurassic World another chance. I moderately enjoyed it. It was fine. I enjoyed it basically because it was just like Jurassic Park. And that's it. I'm done. This franchise sucks. It is overblown. Jurassic World did not deserve the $1 billion it made. It rode solely on nostalgia. It wasn't that great of a movie. It was fine. This movie is not fine. It was bad. It is laughably bad. And for a franchise that was this good in the beginning, slid down, but seemed to maybe pick itself up again with Jurassic World and might have headed into an interesting direction, it does not. It does not at all. There is a major reveal that happens in this movie that literally undercuts the entire premise of the franchise. Why is this franchise important if these other things exist? So it does not do anything new. It does everything exactly like it's always done. I mean, it's literally just picking out moments from the other movies and just dumping them into this. It is a pathetic attempt. And frankly, it is laughable and it should have never been made. So my score is a 1.5 out of 5. I am giving it the same score I gave the Superfly remake. Why? Because it is equally as ridiculous. Don't see this movie. Don't waste your time. Hopefully they will just stop making these goddamn Jurassic Park movies and just move on. Find a new sci-fi book to work on because this is a dead franchise. All right, guys, that's it. I will see you guys next time for another episode of Coming Destruction. You're watching the Nerdpocalypse YouTube channel. Make sure you click that button to subscribe and check out our weekly podcast where we talk about movie, TV, news, tech, and weird stories from around the internet.